All right, everyone, again, thank you so much for joining this webinar on the 3 skills needed to pass the bar: patience, practice, and positivity. I want to make sure that I take a second to, first of all, you took the time not just to register, which a lot of folks can do. You made time to actually show up. And that's a huge, for me, first step indicator that you really want to make sure that you do whatever is possible and whatever's in your power to make this next goal happen, right? I want to make sure that I provide you the very best information. And so let's go ahead and get started. So first of all, I want to thank you for being on this webinar. At the end, I want you to know that I'm auctioning off a free one-on-one private coaching session, and it's going to be focused on bar prep only. All right, I'll give you more details at the end related to that, so that you know what other value I can provide to you as you prepare for the bar. This webinar is focused on developing the key mindset that you need to pass the bar. Right? There's a lot of skills that you need to develop as you prepare to take the bar, but a huge part of it is mindset. You have 2 options. You can do it the stressed out, anxious way, where it's really difficult to calm your nerves, or you can do it the centered, motivated, focused way. Okay? So those are the options that you have. And I've done them both ways, because the first time I did it under the option 1 and I didn't pass. I failed. And the second time, I really focused on staying motivated, staying centered, staying focused with what I knew I could do. And that's when I just tore it up. So let's get started. So what will you learn today? So today, if you want to pass the bar, my promise to you is that in this webinar, okay, you're going to set up a plan for each of the 3 skills that are required to pass. So take notes, write down whatever it is that, is helpful to you. And the areas are going to be maintaining patience. I'm going to give you some tips on how to set up a plan for that. Making sure that you have sufficient practice on all the different parts of the exam. Again, I'm going to make sure that you have a plan for that. And then also fostering positivity. You need a plan for these things. Because the first time that I took the bar exam, I didn't have a plan. I just went into it thinking like, oh, it's just, going to be like one of the exams in law school, but just a lot harder and a lot longer. Without a plan, it just gets really challenging. So I want you to start thinking, what's going to be your plan for each of these different areas so that you can move forward and not think like, oh, what do I need to do right now? What should I be doing? Because a lot of times when you take the bar exam, you spend a lot of energy trying to figure out, oh, wait a minute, they're doing that. Should I be doing that as well? You're going to set up your plan before you start studying for the bar, and you're not going to even think about it. You're just going to focus on executing. All right. So background. I mentioned already that I failed the first time. I took the California bar exam back in July of 2007. It's going to be 11 years since I took the first bar exam this year. That's when I did it in a very stressed out, very anxious way. The second time that I took it was in February of 2008, which was the next time that it was offered. And I nailed it. I destroyed it. I obliterated. I mean, you think of a verb that relates to that. I did it, right? And so how did I do that? What changed? And there was 2 key things. The first one, again, was mindset. And the second one was I planned. In terms of the first part, maintaining patience, okay? In the past 10 years, I've been teaching this material to attorneys. They were law grads then. And mind you, because I failed the bar, a lot of the content that I would show them and that I would teach them focused on repeat bar takers. But then I realized that this information was something that first-time bar takers should know. It was information that I wish I could have gotten, when I took the bar the first time. And so then I just started helping recent graduates and also repeat bar takers. In terms of maintaining patience, the hard part is this: we are used to immediate results in everything that we focus on and everything that we do. I mean, this society is about wanting it now and wanting it quickly, right? But when it comes to this particular test, that doesn't happen immediately. You're going to take one essay, you're going to take a set of multiple, bar examination questions, the MBEs, you're going to take a performance test, and you may not get the best score right out at the beginning. And that can be hard, right? Because as advocates, as future lawyers, there's a lot that you have worked for to get to this point. And I want to make sure that you take time from now until when you start studying for the bar to think about that. You have accomplished so much already. There were so many stars that had to align for you to get to this particular point, to the precipice of taking the bar. So kudos to you, congratulations to you. I'm really proud of you. I hope that you make some time to be proud of yourself in terms of what you've accomplished so far, right? And when you start studying, and again, you take an essay or you take a set of MBEs or performance tests in the beginning and you don't get the best score, it's okay. Keep going. The goal is to keep improving, right? So what's going to be your plan when it comes to maintaining patience? Okay, the first part is you're going to set up a calendar that you feel comfortable with. All right. And by calendar, I literally mean you're going to set up a calendar that says how many essays you're going to work on a particular day, or whether you're even going to work on your essays that day. And what I mean by working on them, taking practice essays. And then on another day, you'll write down how many MBEs you're going to take, and then how many performance tests you're going to take on this other day, or how often you're going to be taking essays, and how often you're going to be taking multiple choice, and how often you're going to be taking performance tests. Not all bar exams will have every single part, right? Depending on the state that you're taking it in, you may not have the performance test, but I think most bar exams have all three parts. So the reason why setting up a calendar with this information is really important is because, one, it's going to give you structure so that you, again, don't have to expend energy on what is it that I need to do right now? What should I be doing? And then you start looking at what other people are doing. You start comparing yourself, and then you go down a path where you really shouldn't, because it's just going to stress you out. Every other person taking the bar exam typically does not really know what they should be doing. I'll just tell you that straight up. They really don't know. And so when you start comparing yourself, to what somebody else is doing, that may or may not be the strategy that works for you, and that may or may not be the strategy that you should be following. All right. So it creates structure, and then also it allows for growth. That's really important, because once you maintain a steady steps consistently, you're going to see, well, you know what? Maybe I didn't get the score that I wanted today, but I am much better than where I was before. Second part is you got to think through what actions will you take if your mind, quote unquote, freaks out. There will be times when, you might feel like tense, or you might stress out. What are you going to do? Right? Some tips that I offer for that I applied the second time around was reframe the situation. Okay, I got a bad score on one of the essays. Does it mean that every single essay moving forward is going to be that bad? No, absolutely not. Does my mind want to take me there and give me the worst case scenario? Yes, it does. But I'm going to reframe it. I'm going to make sure that I stop it before it goes there. And if for some reason you can't do it alone and reframe it, on your own, connect with someone that can assist you in doing that. One of the biggest challenges, and I'll tell you this right now, a lot of times, especially coming from a Latino background, we end up putting a lot of pressure on ourselves related to this exam. I'm going to do it for my tío, my tía. I'm going to do it for my parents, my grandpa, my community, my society. I'm going to do it for Coco, the recent film. I'm going to do it for everybody. You got to let that go. That's how I did it the first time. It was way too much pressure. The second time, what I did, I changed my mindset in terms of, wait a minute, why do I want this? I want this for myself, first and foremost. It's not going to go to my parents. It's not going to go, it may sound selfish, but straight up, it clears your mind. It takes off a huge load. and it allows you to remain patient with yourself. So I'm telling you straight up, you are not doing this for everybody else in the world. You're doing this for you. And that's really important because it's going to take a load off that honestly, you just don't need this summer if you're taking the bar exam this summer. Another one is refocus, okay? So after you reframe the situation, refocus, which is kind of what I mentioned to you. Remember, you're doing this for you, not anybody else. And then just recenter yourself, reground yourself. Okay, what is it that you're gonna do? Are you gonna, meditate? What is it that works for you? And you don't need to come up with something brand new. If there's something that already works for you in that situation when your mind potentially freaks out, go to that. Rely on that. It's just have a plan for it now before you even start studying. Because once you start studying, it gets really busy. Okay. The third part of your plan relating to maintaining patience is you have to answer this question. Why do you really want this? There's going to be times when you are impatient with yourself. You got to go back to why is it that you want this? Is it because you want to become an advocate for disenfranchised communities, people who don't have the opportunity to get an attorney? You want to be there for them. Is it because you want to go to big law and make a ton of money for you, your family, and your community? Whatever it is, find it, hold on to it, and don't let it go. And have it ready. Write it down. When I started I Matter Now, this particular business, I kid you not, I wrote down my reasons and my philosophies for doing it. I have them on the side every single day. So same thing with the bar. You have to do that, right? You have to write down your reasons of why it is that you want to become an attorney, why you want to become an advocate. All right, next one. Sufficient practice. So what do I mean by that? So first of all, there's no way around this. You have to practice sufficient essays. You have to practice, and not just essays, MBEs and performance tests as well. The hard part in the beginning is taking them under timed conditions. At first, you're going to feel nervous. That's okay. Just keep going. For this, you have to ask, okay, what is my goal? How many of each category is going to work for me? How many do I need to do so that I am able to really feel that I have mastered the skills that are required? So it's really hard. I'm telling you, it's hard to know at first, but I can provide you with my calendar, okay, so that you can take a look. And if in the future, we can talk about this later, but if in the future you want to work together in developing your own calendar, I can give you some thoughts and ideas that are tailored to the exam that you specifically are taking, okay? So what's going to be the plan in terms of sufficient practice? Again, you got to set up your calendar that builds in sufficient practice. What this is going to do, I didn't have this the first time around. The second time around, I developed it. I put how many essays I was writing. And here's the thing, the California bar exam, what it does is it tests in 3-hour periods, right? Now they changed it a little bit. It went from 3 days to 2 days. And this is just to give you a sense of how it was that I developed my calendar. Because when I took it, it was 3-hour periods. And you take 3 hours in the morning, you break, then 3 hours in the afternoon. And then you do that 2 more days. What I decided to do was, I'm going to study in 3-hour periods. So if you're taking the bar exam this time around, they changed it a little bit. It's 2 days, but one of the periods is 3.5 hours. So why not work towards setting up a schedule that builds your stamina for a 3.5 hour period? And the first time I didn't do that. I would do like maybe 1.5, 2 hours, and then I would break, and then I would go back and do 1.5, 2 hours. And so what that did is my mind would get tired, by the afternoon session, because it wasn't used to these 3-hour intense studying blocks. In those 3 hours, what I did was this second tip, which was I started slow to go fast. So when you first start studying, you have to build up. In the beginning, you might need to just do 15 MBEs, multiple choice questions. And you do them under time conditions. That's 1.8 minutes per question. And then slowly you start adding, okay, now I'm going to do 20, 25. And then I'm going to do 35. Okay, now I'm gonna do 50 as another week or two passes by. Another week or two passes by. Okay, now I'm gonna push it. I'm gonna go up to 70. All right, and now I'm gonna do 100 in one session. And it's like you're training literally for a marathon. That's really important. And also in the beginning, I would maybe write one essay, and then that was like my study session. Towards the end, I would outline 5 essays in a 3-hour period. And then, I would give myself about 15 minutes per essay, 15, 20 minutes per essay to outline. And then once I would outline for about an hour and a half or hour and 15 minutes, the other hour and a half, because remember, I was studying in a 3-hour block period, I would review what the answers were for all of those essays. Because in California, at least, they provide sample essays that you can look at to review your answers. And you're going to be taking a bar prep course that's going to provide you the questions and the answers as well, which you can use that too. And this last tip is also really important. Learn to take practice essays and MBEs in subject areas you have not studied. Many times what happens is you get put on a schedule. When I took my bar prep course, I was put on a schedule, and I was like 6 weeks in, and there were some subject areas that I still haven't even studied. And that, to me, I felt it didn't work for me, right? It was like, oh, I'm on a schedule of when I'm going to be learning that subject area from this bar prep course, but I needed to see it sooner so that it could sink into my brain, right? And so the second time around, I just learned to be like, okay, I haven't taken a trust wills essay in a really long time. I'm just going to take one today. And I'm going to, based on what little I've studied, I'm going to be okay with failing this essay. I'm okay with that. Because you know what? This is when I can fail, before taking the exam. And don't look at it as a failure. Look at it as a learning opportunity. And once you do that, you get exposed to it and you learn so much from that essay. You learn, oh, these were the particular issues. I actually got some of it right, but I got a lot of it wrong. And that's okay, because now I just learned a ton from doing this essay in a timed condition. And in the beginning, it might not even be that long because you might not have a lot to write. So, after 45, 50 minutes, just stop and then review what the essay is. And then if you see rules that you didn't remember, what I would do after that was I would write them down. I would literally write that rule 10 times so that it could, just continue seeping into my head. So that's also a really important skill that I didn't apply the first time around. The first time around, I literally was just kind of like on the bar prep courses timeline. And when I was 6, 7 weeks in, I'm like, there's about 3 weeks, 4 weeks before the bar, I haven't touched that subject at all. What's going on? And second time around, I was like, you know what? That just didn't work for me. Okay. Last part, fostering positivity. How do you do that? You develop self-awareness of when your mind goes to what I call negative landia. I've been an attorney for over 10 years. We are trained as law students and attorneys to figure out all of the options for our clients. A lot of times, majority of those options are negative options, right? So we as attorneys live in negative landia most of our time. You have to learn, from now, how to halt it. Once you start getting into, I failed that essay, so I'm a failure. You gotta be careful with that, okay? One thing is that, you performing not as well as you wanted to on that essay. The other thing is you transferring that into you being a failure. Your performance does not equal who you are as an awesome ass person that you are, okay? And you have to remember that. Also, why is it important to foster positivity? Because your attention allocation. This is so important that a lot of students don't, I don't even know if you've heard this ever. But attention allocation is basically, if you have low energy, if you're under high stress consistently, your energy, your attention and energy is going to be focused on making sure that you reduce that stress and trying to build up your energy to normal levels. So if you don't eat If you're just studying, and you don't eat, if you're just studying, and you don't drink sufficient water, your body's going to feel it. And your body's going to say, oh, that's all fine and dandy. You want to study for the bar. That's great. But I have some other needs. It's not going to allow you to focus your brain power on the things that you need to focus on because it's going to have other needs. So these are a lot of things that I teach trial attorneys as a high performance coach. It's small things that we take for granted, but you not drinking sufficient water throughout the day is really important. I don't know what it is that you do in the morning when you first wake up, but if you're not drinking a glass or glass and a half of water, you're not giving your brain enough H2O to process at the high level that you need to process. Because at night when you're sleeping, you're losing a lot of water. So just a quick tip for you there. This exam is not a life or death threat. It's not a life or death situation, but your mind will perceive it as so because it's, if you're a repeat taker, it sees it as like, oh my gosh, like what's going to happen? Am I going to fail again? Right? You got to stop your mind. Be like, you know what? I am a freaking badass. I'm going to make this happen because I know I can. And thank you, brain, for bringing up the concern, but that's not where I'm going right now. That's not who's driving the bus right now. So your negative mini you will try to take over. You got to make sure that your positive you, that their voice is also heard. Okay. And be like, nope, my positive, centered, focused me is the one who's taking this exam. Because the negative one gets really impatient and gets stressed out and anxious. And that's not the kind of mindset that I need to make this happen. All right. So your plan for this is very important. Surround yourself with people that support you. You guys have seen the video. Ain't nobody got time for that. You got to say bye to negative people. If there's people in your life that are just kind of like, I don't mean like, get into a full on, breakup. I had that situation, unfortunately, in my 1L year, and that was really intense. And to the extent that you don't need to get into that, don't. But if there are negative people that are acquaintances and you're just receiving negative energy from them, you just stop that, focus on what you need to focus on, and then find allies, find people who are going to support you through this process, whether it's your family, whether it's your, close friends, your partner. If you have children and you're taking the bar exam, what I had to do the second time around? I studied from home with my parents the second time around. And I basically told them, I need your support. My parents had never seen me take on a challenge like this before. And what I meant seen me is I had taken it in July, but they didn't see me studying for it, right? I was studying at UC Davis Law School. So they didn't actually see me. But when I moved back home in the LA area, they were, and I got the results that I didn't pass. They saw me studying firsthand. And I had to sit down with them. I told them, hey, I need your support. I'm going to be here physically, but mentally, I'm not going to be here. I need to focus on this goal. And that's when my mindset changed, where I was like, I'm not doing this for anyone else. I'm doing it for myself because I want to be able to have the kind of impact, the kind of advocacy impact that I've always envisioned for myself, right? And so, I love having that conversation with my parents, and I'm still thankful to them, to this day because of how they supported me. So something to keep in mind as you move forward. Remember, what you think influences what you feel, which influences your attitude. So if you're constantly thinking, I'm not going to pass, it's going to make you feel stressed out, nervous, disappointed, upset, and that's going to influence your attitude. Well, I'll just give it my best, but I'm probably not going to pass again. But if you think, you know what, I got this. I'm a powerful person. I am a confident person. I am really capable. I know how to learn each of these things. I just need to make time and I need to set up my plan. It's going to make you feel more positive. It's going to make you feel like you can accomplish this goal. And that's going to influence your attitude. I got this. I am really capable. I am a badass. You have two choices. At the end of the day, it's going to be up to you. But you have to keep that self-awareness. You have to maintain that positivity. And don't let go of your health. Develop stress reduction plan. Exercise, meditate, connect with your family, whatever it is that has helped you these past years to get through law school. You've done a lot to get through law school. Use those strategies. If you need to talk to a therapist, talk to a therapist. If you need to talk to, a loved one, talk to a loved one. Don't hesitate. You have to be able to, okay, I got derailed a little bit, get back on track. Okay? All right. So I want to tell you really briefly, on June 2nd, this particular webinar was really focused on mindset, right? On June 2nd, I'm having a much longer webinar. This one's 4 hours long, and it's going to cover basically every single tip that every bar prep course did not provide me, or that I didn't learn from the bar prep course. I mean, there's going to be some things that, yes, I did learn from it, but also there's a ton of information that I, in particular, needed. I actually, to be perfectly honest with you, I learned how to IRAC the second time that I took the bar exam. That's when I learned how to IRAC. I didn't learn how to IRAC in law school. I was trying to. I was like, well, I guess, issue, rule, analysis, conclusion. And in this 4-hour session, I pretty much help you understand how you should be IRACing for every single essay or every single PT. And you shouldn't have to worry about how is each sentence going to start in my essays. You don't need to worry about that. Right? The issue is, the rule is, in this case, in conclusion. That's it. That's it. I just gave you the 4 ways that every single sentence in the bar exam should start. You don't need to worry about that. And I have a ton of these tips, okay? And I didn't have these tips when I took the bar the first time. So I want others to have them. I want others to be able to access them. So just for HMBA webinar attendees, I'm giving a huge discount. When you get a chance, it's going to be 50% off with HMBA webinar. So this is only available to you that are on the webinar. And the link is setting up for barexamsuccess.eventbrite.com. So https:// setting up for barexamsuccess.eventbrite.com. Okay. So if you're interested, check it out. I'll send an email probably next week about it. But this discount is only available to you. So I want to thank you. I really, really appreciate your time. Again, I'm really proud of you to be at this point, and I hope that you gain some valuable tips in relation to the mindset that you need, right? And I hope that you are able to join me on June 2nd for a lot more details as to how to what skills are the ones that you need for each of the different sections of the bar exam. If you have any other questions, feel free to email me. I'll just put my email that you've already been getting, information from on the side over here, and then I'm available. Okay, this is what I'm doing now. This is a new service from I Matter Now, and I really just want you to succeed. I want you to become that awesome, powerful advocate that you've been working so hard to get to, right? I know what it takes. I know what it took me, and I hope that you stay confident and you stay positive and you stay centered and grounded and just awesome as you go through this process. It will kick your butt, and it's possible that the person that started the journey of taking the bar is not the same person that comes out at the end of it. But you know what? If you just take small steps to set up for success, you're going to make this happen. I believe that, right? I came from an immigrant background. My parents immigrated to this country. I was 8 years old. My mom, she worked as a domestic worker. My dad, he worked as a restaurant worker. We grew up poor, just living paycheck to paycheck, right? I have that background, and it took a lot of grit, a lot of effort to get here. And if you understand that background, you're going to be able to make it happen as well, right? I want to show you, I'm an example of having that background, and I'm living, I'm breathing. I'm not just surviving now, I'm thriving, right? And you're at that part of the journey where I was 10, 11 years ago. You can do it, okay? So, Natalia, I see your message, and yeah, let's connect, okay? So you got my email, you got my contact info, and I look forward to connecting with you sometime in the future. All right. Thanks, everyone.